One of the things that I stress is that even prior to taking photos, that they look at photos. And as you can see, I have a huge library of photo books. And the library at Cornell, I've been pretty relentless at getting more and more and more photo books there. Not that we had a pretty good collection, but you have to keep up. So my students have to get photo books, and not just any photo books, but books that they relate to. So that was something I did when I first started learning about photography as an art form. You have to remember that what I came from when I worked and lived in Bellevue, Iowa, was a portrait photographer, studio photographer. So I did not profess to have an art background. I didn't.
Did you have a desire, an artistic desire?
Oh, yes. I always thought I was an artist, but how would I know? I don't know. I had taken painting and drawing and different classes, but
sometimes before you own the statement of I am an artist,
yes,
you think that there's some sort of card like that you're gonna get issued, or you're gonna do something and it'll be recognized in a certain way, and then the page turns and suddenly you're an artist. Some people are lucky enough to get to live the life as an artist.
That's true. I don't think everyone wants to live the life of an artist, because it is about a little bit of sacrifice, and it's living non-conventionally. I had a show of the down to the river portraits of the musicians in Portland at a community college, and David Analik, a friend of mine who got his film degree here at Iowa, was saying that when he was, I think, only 18, he took a painting class with a woman, and I can't remember her name, but he's like, I want to be an artist. He says, what do you do? How can you be an artist? And she looked at him and she said, well, David, you must learn to live the unconventional life. And he's like, yeah, okay. And he said to me, I didn't know what that word meant. I went home and looked it up. I love that story. And then when he learned what that really meant, he said, I can do that. I know how to be unconventional. I can sleep in the back of my truck. I already do that. So I felt like I was a little artist way back when I tried to be a ballerina when I was 3 years old. I know that because I would finger paint, and I would draw, and I would love to play my tiny little piano. It was about this big. I did a lot of things that were creative.
So then you moved into the portrait studio.
I was 23 then, yeah.
And so this was your business.
This was my business.
And how did you make the transition, ending up in Iowa City?
Well, I lived and worked in Bellevue until 1987. So I had the portrait studio not quite a dozen years. And I was getting burned out. When I was 23 and I started that business, I was so excited. I was passionate. I was just full of learn, get better, get better, get better. And then I felt like, probably 8 years into it, I started realizing, you're pretty good. What are you going to do from here? Where are you going to go from here?
So you had the technical down, so you it opened the door for you.
Yeah, I had the technical down, and then I learned how to work with people, and I took classes, workshops in the summer that helped me learn about posing and taught me a lot about lighting and all this kind of stuff. And so I felt like I'd sort of gotten where I needed to be successful. And I made a good living, and people liked my work that I did for them, and I was happy with it. But there comes a time when you just start going, well, what do I do now? What else am I going to do? And right about in that time, it was in the 80s, I had met, I used to go out to hear music starting in the early 80s in Dubuque, Cooper Wagon Works.
Oh, wow.
And I went other places too, but I met Bo, and hence Radislav, and Sonny Lott, and Bobby Thompson, and just a bunch of people. And I think just becoming close with Radislav helped kind of inspire my move to Iowa City. I knew that I wanted to learn more about art or theater. I wasn't sure which. But I knew I wanted to go to school. And one thing kind of led to the other. But I had a house in Bellevue, and I had a business, and I had 2 little girls.
So Iowa City had the school and then the artists community, the music community. I think that's what draws a lot of people.
Yeah, it had it all, and you know what? It was close to where I was living. My parents still live on a farm near Maquoketa, so I knew I still had my support system there. Iowa City just seemed to be practical, and I thought I could fit in pretty well here. It felt like I could because I would come and visit. So that's what happened, and I applied to get in school as an undergrad. I was finishing up an undergrad degree, and at that time I started in theater, and I went to school here for about a year in the theater program and decided, that's not going to work. It just didn't work with my lifestyle, and so I switched over to, it was called multimedia at the time. Many years later it turned into intermedia, video and performance art with Hans Brader. So I was there in that program as an undergrad and also got my MFA in that. I was there quite a while.
You photograph more than musicians and the music scene. What are some of your other favorite subjects? What do you like to shoot?
I feel like I'm on a new kind of road or path. I think digital has done part of that. I also think having the book published by the University of Iowa has helped me kind of, in a way, close that period of time, because I don't go out and photograph musicians like I did. That era, I feel, has passed. And while I was doing the musician photos and in intermedia also, and I was making a lot of videos at that time, I was also working on a body of work called the Lost Nation photographs, which again were black and white, traditional, shot with mostly with the 35mm, hand printed in my darkroom. And I show that from time to time. But I've also sort of let that project end. And I have just started something new. I started it serendipitously. I was collecting photos, archiving them.